Good morning. It is Tuesday, July 5th. I'm Shane Seeley, and this is the CBC Morning Report. Well, this morning we are hearing that a plan is in the works to find a solution to a perennial problem which is affecting Barbadians and the health of our citizens: indiscriminate burning. The Center for Biosecurity Studies at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus has launched a survey dubbed "How Do Wildfires Affect Your Health?" as officials there try to get a better understanding of the health impacts of climate and wildfires, for example, sugarcane, grass and rubbish fires, on the health of our citizens. Now, Director of the Center, Dr. Kirk Douglas, has been gathering data from the Fire Service, the Sanitation Service Authority and the Barbados Met Office. He says it is clear to see that the statistics are pointing to the fact that indiscriminate burning remains a big problem for Barbados.
It is definitely a problem, the indiscriminate burning, and we would have listened to many call-in programs where persons will call in and actually voice their concerns, their irritation due to this type of activity on the island. So it is a problem that we want to help solve, and it is not as simple as it may appear, because this is not only an issue with climate, this is also an issue with solid waste management. That is something that we will have to definitely address holistically. And we are also ready to help where that is concerned, because we see that as an opportunity to drive sustainable development within the Caribbean and especially within Barbados. So people burn garbage oftentimes out of convenience because they think that it is easier and more convenient for them to, be rid of the rubbish by burning it rather than waiting until, what the cycle of garbage collection or solid waste collection comes around to their area. So it is going to be something that we have to tease apart and find out the different factors that are involved. So we will also like to conduct a solid waste KAP study and survey in Barbados as well to assist with that. Because you have many interrelated factors that go into solid waste management, the burning of garbage, social, economic factors as well. So we are definitely interested in seeking answers and solutions, because this is not only about framing the problem. What we're interested in is generating recommendations, which the government and even the private sector as well could get on board, and that we can make Barbados safer for everyone.
Now, the Center for Biosecurity Studies launched this survey last week, and Dr. Douglas went on to explain to the Morning Report the idea is to get broad input to chart the way forward in dealing with this issue of indiscriminate burning.
We are looking at the impact on health, because as fires burn, they release particulate matter, black carbon, depending on what is burning. If it's just vegetation, it would be CO2 and any particles of carbon from the burning biomass. But if it is rubbish, then there are a whole host of different substances that would then be released in the air. So we want to find out from Barbadians how they feel about wildfires, what impact it is having on their health. And then we want to take that and continue the discussion. Even after we finish the survey, we want to hold a stakeholder engagement series of meetings, webinars, could also be town halls, so that we can continue the discussion on how we can, together as a nation, make our country more climate resilient and also make our people healthier.
And for more details on this study, How Do Wildfires Affect Your Health, being done by the Center for Biosecurity Studies, well, this is how you can participate. You can contact the center at biosecurity@cavehill.uwi.edu, or you can call 417-7467. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll look at the local COVID-19 numbers. They've dropped under 100 new cases yet again, so that is good news. And then we'll get an update on the war in Ukraine. 89 new cases of COVID-19 were recorded on Sunday from 352 tests conducted by the Best Dos Santos Public Health Laboratory. The new positives comprised 13 youngsters who are under the age of 18. 76 individuals were 18 years and older. There were 130 people in isolation facilities and 1,352 people in home isolation. The total number of people who are fully vaccinated here in Barbados stands at 153,571. Let's go straight now to the war in Ukraine, and the President Volodymyr Zelensky says his troops have no alternative but to push back and destroy the offensive potential of Russian forces as the battle moves from Luhansk to the nearby region of Donetsk. This was after President Vladimir Putin congratulated Russian troops on what he said was liberating the eastern Ukrainian region of Luhansk.
It was a long and at times brutal battle, but now the Russians have control of the city of Lysychansk and with it the strategically and politically important Luhansk region. Meeting with his defence minister in Moscow, Vladimir Putin thanked his soldiers and told them to push on.
I ask you to give a state award to all service personnel who have excelled during this military action. Based on your daily reports, I know there are a lot of brave, professional and gutsy, in a good way, soldiers in the Russian army. They all should be decorated with all the relevant state awards.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said his troops were pulled out of the city to save their lives, but he promised to return with greater firepower to reclaim it.
If the commanders of our army recall people from certain points of the front, where the enemy have the greatest fire advantage, in particular, this also applies to Lysychansk, it means only one thing, that we will return thanks to our tactics, thanks to the increase in the supply of our modern weapons.
The Russians are now turning their attention to targets in the Donetsk region, and with Luhansk, those are the two areas that Russia recognized as breakaway independent states the day before it launched its war in Ukraine. For the Russians, this is a major tactical success, even if their military victory took longer than they expected. The area's governor admits the loss of Lysychansk is painful, but he says while the battle has been lost, the war has not.
There appears to be no end in sight to this war in Ukraine. We'll keep you updated right here on the Morning Report. Let's go over now to Pearson to see what he has planned for you on this Tuesday edition of Morning Barbados. Pearson, what are some of the things that you're looking at today?
Well, when you join us at 6:30 for Morning Barbados today, we'll be taking a look back at the I Am Her conference, which was recently held here. And we want to know what are some of the lessons learned and what are some of the purposes birthed in the purpose birthing room. So Dr. Walton will join us to talk a little bit more about that as we look back. Speaking of birthing today, when our pediatrician, Dr. Birchwood, joins us, we'll look at the whole fact that it is baby month. And so in baby season, what are expectant mothers expecting? And that's a deliberate use of words right there. So look out for that a little later on. Plus, today, we meet a couple more entrepreneurs who have found success as a consequence of their support from the Barbados Trust Loan Fund. They'll share their journey and also their successes with us on Morning Barbados today from 6:30. It's back to you, Shane.
Thank you, Pearson. And speaking about journey, Barbadians who are spending a lot more money on their journey in terms of putting gas in their cars, well, you'll hear what they had to say about the recent increase in gas prices here in Barbados. And we're putting the spotlight on jails across the region and how prisoners are being affected there. Details to these stories and more up next on the Morning Report. Well, as expected, Barbadians have been reacting to the latest fuel price hike. The price of gasoline in Barbados has increased to some 31 cents to $4.72 per litre. That's an amazing increase. While diesel increased by just 4 cents to $2.66. News of the dramatic price increase has left many Barbadians reevaluating their commute and driving practices to save an extra dollar. Here's what they had to say.
In my opinion, jolly right ain't done. You got to move around these days, you got to plan it out. If you don't plan it out, I don't know where you can go with this fuel.
So far, this vehicle is being filled and is literally taking $250. I hope that the powers to be can do some changes to this as soon as possible.
I am going to plan my route better. I'm going to drive with my husband on the weekend so he can buy the gas. And 3, what am I going to do? I'm going to get my sister-in-law to pick me up and take me everywhere I want to go.
I tend to drive everywhere with the air conditioner on, but I think with the prices as they are, I'm going to have to really reduce my use of air conditioning.
For my family, yeah, if we can, we try to use one car.
Well, you got to find a way to get around these high gas prices. We're wishing you all the best with that. Now, issues facing Caribbean prisoners in the region and in the region's jails are being discussed over the next couple of days at a symposium in St. Kitts and Nevis. Our Rianne Phillips has more on this story.
In a matter of hours, 17 prison heads and academics from 7 Caribbean countries, including Barbados, are set to meet virtually and in person for the Impact Justice Project Symposium on Prison Reform here at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort. That 2-day meeting gets going at 9 a.m. Experts from across the region are set to make presentations on several topics, including COVID-19 and the Caribbean prisons, and provide country reports. Regional Director of the Impact Justice Project, Professor Velma Newton, says the symposium seeks to facilitate frank discussions on the issues being faced by Caribbean prisoners, as well as build on an IDB report conducted between 2016 and 2018. She adds officials will also seek to chart the way forward for regional penal institutions. Reporting from St. Kitts and Nevis, I am Rianne Phillips for CBC News.
Back at home, the Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Business, that's Sandra Husbands, she's given the local cooperative movement the assurance government is committed to unlocking the potential of cooperatives towards achievement of inclusive economic growth. Ms. Husbands made the comment as she delivered remarks during an event at the Village Green in the city to mark the 100th anniversary of International Cooperatives Day. The event was held under the theme Cooperatives Build a Better World and featured a number of exhibits and activities. Ms. Husbands says cooperatives continue to play a pivotal role in the social and economic development of Barbados.
We continue to address the financing challenges faced by cooperatives through funding organizations such as Fund Access in certain cases, the Cooperative Investment Fund, CIF, and the Trust Loan Fund on a smaller scale. Cooperators in the movement are also encouraged to get involved in the training provided by the Financial Literacy Bureau, which is available to the general public in order to benefit from sound advice on effective money management and making your societies more sustainable. I would also encourage the financial cooperatives to assume a greater role in assisting your brothers and sisters in the non-financial cooperative sector in their call for financial and other types of support.
Let's go further afield now. More than a dozen protesters were arrested for driving too slowly during demonstrations on motorways in England, Wales and Scotland over fuel prices. Let's go there now and see what's happening.
No one likes a traffic jam, so when drivers deliberately cause tailbacks, you know they're angry. A 48-kilometre-an-hour crawl down some of the UK's most important motorways. It's an attempt to persuade the government to reduce taxes on fuel.
I'm here because I've lost my job because of the fuel and the greedy people at the top taking all of our money. don't know what else I can do. I've been stuck in the house for 2 weeks. I'm going stir crazy. I need a job, I need to work.
The Go Slow protests were most disruptive in the west of England and on the Prince of Wales Severn Bridge linking England with Wales. Police arrested 12 people near there, saying the demonstration was putting emergency services' lives at risk.
Now, at this petrol station in London, you can see the current price of unleaded is 193.9 pence per litre. That's about $2.35. Now, it wasn't that long ago, only a couple of years at the beginning of the pandemic lockdown, that the price of fuel in this country fell to under 100 pence per litre. So since then, it's doubled, and you can see why many people, perhaps not this guy, but many people are suffering.
The cost of fuel is driving inflation for everyone, but it hits those who make a living from their vehicles particularly hard. London taxi drivers, for example. I spoke to Pete as he was filling up.
How is it for you at the moment?
Well, it's terrible, isn't it? I mean, it's basically £9 a gallon, and it's just crippling us, really. And I can't see it getting any better, really.
Do you have any sympathy with the fuel protest today?
Yes, I do, of course, yeah. They've got to do something, haven't they, huh?
But John, another cabbie, wasn't sure about the tactics.
Protests have to be done, especially in this case, because it's just getting out of hand. But then at the same time, they can alienate the general public just by being a nuisance. So it's a bit of a slippery slope process, you know, in all facets.
The UK government lowered fuel taxes in March by 5p per litre, or 6 US cents. It obviously wasn't enough to stem galloping petrol prices. The protesters are demanding more serious cuts. The Treasury says it'll give the calls careful consideration.
Chile's new draft constitution has been submitted to the President Gabriel Boric after a year-long process. We have a report.
The document was presented in a ceremony on Monday after the 154-member convention spent a year crafting it. Chileans will vote on adopting it in a referendum in September. The new text will replace the constitution written during the Augusto Pinochet dictatorship and focuses on social rights, gender equality, indigenous autonomy and the environment. Our Latin America editor Lucia Newman is in Santiago for us. And Lucia, the environment seems to be is one of the big headlines, isn't it?
Well, indeed it is. This is a very novel constitution. It's probably the first in the world, first of all, written with gender parity, but also where protection of the environment becomes a responsibility of the state, as it's also being described as a feminist constitution which guarantees gender parity all across the board, particularly in the state institutions, the Congress, etc. And it is a constitution that goes further than ever before in Chile to recognize indigenous peoples and their autonomy. But it is not yet a done deal. Now, joining me to talk more about that aspect is Rocia Lorca. She is a professor of law at the University of Chile. Rocio, thank you for joining us. First, let me ask you the obvious question. What comes next here? Why isn't this a done deal yet?
Well, what comes now, it's a referendum that's going to take place on September 4th, where people again had to vote whether they want this text that has been passed today to the president, or if they want to not have this text and just keep the previous constitution from 1980. So those are the two options. It's either approve or reject the text, and if it's approved, then we have to implement the text, which is a very big and difficult process. It's going to take some time. And if it's rejected, then we will just continue with the status quo of today.
But it's not quite that simple. The very fact that there was this constitution, or that it was written, is because there was turmoil in this country and there was this sense that there had to be change. Why is it so controversial? It sounds so good, at least on paper.
Yes, well, I think there are many reasons that explain why it's not so clear that it will be passed, even though the plebiscite for the constitution was more than 80%. Now, people really wanted a new constitution. Now we are not so sure what's going to happen. I think it's partly because it has a lot of, as you said, novel institutions that are new to the world and new to Chile, and a lot of people are nervous because they don't know exactly what they mean. Also, some of these institutions seem to go against certain traditions in the country or certain views of equality that people are worried about, like the gender parity, also indigenous rights. So people are nervous because not only they're new, but also constitutions are general, they're broad, they don't regulate things so in detail, so we don't know exactly how they will be articulated by the legislator in a few more years, and I think that's part of why people are a little nervous.
We continue to witness the effects of climate change as torrential rains keep battering Australia's eastern coast, intensifying the flood crisis in Sydney as thousands more residents were ordered to leave their homes after rivers swiftly rose past danger levels. About 50,000 residents in New South Wales have been told to either evacuate or warned they might receive evacuation orders.
Roads are cut off, homes and businesses are inundated. People in the Greater Sydney region are once again underwater. Greater Sydney faced yet another day of torrential rain and has already had 4 times its normal monthly rainfall. More than 30,000 people across the state have been told to leave their homes, with Australia's largest city facing its 3rd flood emergency this year.
They're saying it's a 1 in 100 year rain, 1 in 1,000. Well, where does it stop? You know what I mean? Like, it's like Mother Nature leaves. That doesn't spare anyone really, and it's just we're just been really unlucky.
So far, there has been at least 80 rescues in the worst hit areas, with emergency services helping those stranded, including livestock. With more rain forecast, widespread evacuation orders remain in place for now.
It's obviously been a very difficult time for many months. To have this flood event off the back of others makes it more challenging.
The road leading to this community just north of Sydney has been cut off. The river has surged and overflowed. Many here are frustrated and say they're still cleaning up from the last major flood event in March.
The road collapsion hasn't been fixed since the last floods, hasn't been touched. So now they close our road access and then the ferry. The only way to get home now is by boat.
This cargo ship, with 21 crew on board, is stranded off the coast of New South Wales. It's lost power. While authorities attempt to rescue the crew, the ship risks being swept ashore. These flooded communities face a long road to recovery, with climate scientists warning weather events like this are becoming the new norm.
For many communities, this is the 4th flood that they have seen in less than 18 months. And some of those images are truly heartbreaking, seeing people's homes, their lives turned upside down again.
While conditions are set to ease for some parts of New South Wales, the Weather Bureau says rain and strong winds will last for the rest of the week.
Sporting news now. The Barbados team to the Caribbean Games is back at home. They came back home yesterday afternoon after the inaugural regional multi-sport event came to an end. Our Anne-Marie Burke came back with the team and filed this final report.
Guadeloupe has welcomed the best of the region's under-23 athletes. It's the Caribbean Games 2022. Here now is the report from Team Barbados. Brought to you through our kind sponsors, PowerAid, Feel the Power, The Sunny Water, Connect Mind and Body, Dave's Supercut, the best tree trimmers and fellows around, Cooperative General Insurance, you're not just a policy holder, you are an owner, and the Barbados Olympic Association, inspiring excellence, fueling passion.
Just as the games began, so they ended in a spectacle of color, dance, music, and Caribbean flair. The official closing ceremony also saw the athletes parade through the stadium one last time, with the Barbados team included. Speaking ahead of the closing ceremony in an exclusive interview with CBC Sports, President of KNOT Brian Lewis said the games were possible through the Caribbean unity.
Enormous credit to the Caribbean National Olympic Committees that has shown unprecedented collaboration and unity, and displaying that unity is our strength, and our strength is our unity, and that where there's a will, there's a way, and impossible is nothing once you are determined to do it and determined to work together and have a common goal and a common objective.
The second edition of the Caribbean Games is slated for 2025, with the host nation expected to be announced at the KNOC General Assembly in November of this year. Team Barbados returned home today. Anne-Marie Burke, CBC Sports.
The Caribbean Games in Guadeloupe, brought to you through our kind sponsors, PowerAid, Feel the Power, The Sunny Water, Connect Mind and Body, Dave's Supercut, the best tree trimmers and fellows around, Cooperative General Insurance, you're not just a policy holder, you are an owner, and the Barbados Olympic Association, inspiring excellence, fueling passion.
And just to update you on that test match, England versus India. England chasing down what was a massive total, or what was thought to be a massive total, some close to 380 runs, and they're pretty close to that right now. Scores in that match, India 416 and 245, giving England 358 runs to win, and they're 53 runs short of that target. Right now, England, well, they're in the first innings, they scored 284, and right now 325 for 3. Joe Root just passed the century, another one for him, 113 not out of 147 balls. And Johnny Bairstow, he's on 92, on the verge of yet another century. His 4th successive century it would be, just 8 short of that. Of 123 balls, he's on 92 right now. We'll give you another update on the scores in this match at 7 this morning. Time now to look at the weather. Here's what's happening in Barbados right now as far as the weather goes. The temperature is 27.6 degrees Celsius. It's cloudy and slightly hazy on the outside, and the relative humidity is up to 79% this morning. The barometric pressure is 13.5 millibars, and those winds are coming from the east-southeast at 35 kilometers per hour. We'll see a high tide this morning at 29 minutes to 8. There will be a low tide in the afternoon at 6 minutes to 2. Those seas are moderate in open water. Swells are between 1.5 to 2 meters, between 1.5 and 2 meters, and increasing. It will be sunny here in Barbados today with cloudy periods and a few brief scattered light showers. And tonight will be partly cloudy with a few brief isolated light showers. And here's a look at the international weather forecast. That's it for this edition of the CBC Morning Report. I'm Shane Seeley. I'll see you at 7 with headline news. Up next is Pearson Bowen with Mornin Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, 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 morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Hello everyone, good morning indeed, and welcome to Today. Today is Tuesday, the 5th of July, 2022. How was your CARICOM day yesterday? Hope you spent it well. Well, coming up today, yes, we'll have opportunities for you to unscramble the letters, and yes, you'll have another opportunity to win some water this morning, and yes, Thorne will be coming by. He'll bring with him, though, the men's physique champ of Barbados for 2022 as they take a look at bodybuilding exercises and his experience. Perhaps something we can glean from all of that. Sharita will come by, Agent Sharita, when we talk about how do you build a hurricane-resistant house. We live in a space, and one of our natural disasters, the threat of hurricanes. And how do we build a hurricane-resistant home, our biggest investment perhaps. So let's take a listen to that when she comes around a little later on. It is also the season for babies. And for you expectant mothers, you can't miss this one when Dr. Gillian Birchwood comes by to talk about what you can expect and what you can expect post-delivery as well. So listen up for that in our segment looking at pediatric care. Today we continue to focus on those entrepreneurs who have been receiving help and assistance from the Barbados Trust Loan. You'll meet two more and we'll get an update on how the last expo went as well. But let's get started this morning by also looking back now at the recently held I Am Her conference. The Purpose Birthing Room is where the ladies went when they got all dressed up in their Gatsby affair and they headed on down to the Savannah Beach Club. So joining us to take a look back is Dr. Sherry Walton, one of those who really spearheaded the initiative. Dr. Walton, good morning again to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me back. How are you today?
I am well. Thank you for asking. How do you do?
Good. Thank you so much. Excited to be here to talk about our conference.
So how did it go?
It was amazing. I wish I had some of these women on here to talk about the experience, our 2-day experience at the Savannah. We started on Friday night with our pajama purpose party where women got together in our pajamas and we did our vision boards. Talked about all of that. So I'll be giving you all of those details today about the weekend.
So as you Americans say, spill the tea. Let's talk a little bit about it because you took them into the birthing room, birthing their purpose. And it was not just a wonderful little experience. You're dressed in your pajamas or you're dressed in your white, but you were also looking to help women realize their purpose, finding it, realize it, and then accentuate it. So talk to me about what you went through. What were the exercises and the different things that you did with those ladies for those 2 days?
Absolutely. So first, I want to say that there were women from their 20s all the way up to their 60s. I think 65 was our cap in the room. And it was so exciting to see as they started to unlock areas in their lives that they had just not even talked about or visited for years and years. So that birthing process looked at like going back to the beginning. What is it that makes you unique? What are those characteristics and gifts that you have overlooked because they come so naturally to you? So as I started to talk about this and as they started to have, I guess, a revelation about themselves, you saw the light bulb starting to go off in the room, right? They started one direction, but when they started to understand those innate gifts, those things that they do so easily, like maybe taking care of others or being able to talk, being talkative or being expressive or dramatic, all of those things we told them, those are a part of their gifts. And as they started to realize, they're like, wait a minute, my purpose has been showing up my entire life. I just did not recognize it.
Indeed. You know, oftentimes women, I'll say deliberately, women have been defined by particular roles. And this one, no doubt, was an eye-opener for a lot of them to realize your role does not simply define you. You are simply completing a role, but there's much more to you. I want you to define for a lot of people who are still a little bit lost in the dark about the role of a woman and the value that the female brings to life and to just family in itself. Could you describe what that is from your experience?
Yes, absolutely. That's a loaded question. I don't know if we have enough time to really go deep into that. But women, we bring life. We have the seeds within us that we multiply. And many women do not understand the value of who they are because a lot of time with society, they've been positioned and said, okay, women don't speak up, or these are the particular roles or jobs that women have. But now I believe that women are finding their voice. They're understanding, like, wait a minute, I can sit at the boardroom. I can have a seat at the table. In fact, I can build a table, right? But so women have an innate ability to connect. And once women connect and once women really understand their value, they help other women come and find their value. And that's what I like about what we're doing. You know, I tell a lot of people, I can create these platforms and I can just go and talk around the world, but that's not what my purpose is. My purpose is to help other women find their platforms, find their voice, give them a place to do that. So women, the value of what they bring, once we understand ourselves, we ignite each other, we ignite our families. You know, I had my children there, my 2 girls were there on Saturday because I believe that they're a part of this process with me as well. And one of the things that I talked about was my coaching begins at home, right? My coaching first begins with my children. So them understanding the value of who they are. So there are so many roles that women should be playing. But unfortunately, a lot of women have been limited by the roles that they feel that society has called them, or the home kind of puts them in that box. But I believe that women now are waking up. Women are saying, wait a minute, I can speak up. I can write a book. I can write a play. Wait a minute, I can be a CEO. So those limitations that women had before, I don't think we really have those anymore. We're starting to understand the value of who we are.
That's a complete mind shift, which is fantastic. I think it redounds to the benefit not just of the family in this small nuclear experience, but to the wider society as well, because it is from that experience that we grow. And so when I'm curious to hear a little bit about what they said at the end of it, because no doubt they had opportunities to testify to the moments in the birthing room. So could you share with me some of the things said about the experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me tell you, so on Saturday, there were so many tears shed. Like, wow. Seriously, there were those moments where it would just get silent in the room as it shifted, as we touched our stomachs and we said, purpose, activate. There were women, literally, tears started to roll down their face because we put them in a position where they had to see themselves. On Friday night, I took them on an activity called Becoming Her, right? So we have our eye mask on because we were in a pajama purpose party, and I had them close their eyes and see her, the her that they want to become, where she lives, what she drives, what does she do for recreation, what does her family look like. She closed her eyes and she envisioned that. And once they were able to envision this woman that they probably never really even thought about, or, thinks that she's such a distance away, those doors started to say, wait a minute, I can become her. So on Saturday, we went through the process where I asked the questions: who are you? What is your purpose? What makes you unique? And we had other speakers that talked about their journey of grief, that they discovered their purpose, and through death, how there were certain things that happened throughout their lives that positioned them. So we set them up so much, Pearson, that by the time they got to their part of this, right, understanding that just because we're on the stage does not mean that we don't have a story or we haven't been through loss or setback. But what I believe the big aha moment was to understand that as you're walking through purpose, you may not know every single step of the way, but if you keep putting one foot in front of the other, even when it feels hard, and that's what we talked about, the activation room, pushing even when it feels hard. So those walkaways, what did they take away? Oh my gosh, they were stopping me on their way out the door with tissue in their hands, and they were just saying, thank you. I did not realize that there was so much more to me. I didn't realize that I can just really tap into the gifts of who I am, and those would bring purpose to my life and to the world. I mean, there were those that said, I did not expect this conference to be like this. Pearson, I laughed because most of them told me they underestimated, right? They said, we thought we were just going to come here and we were going to write some things. And before you know it, there were women holding each other, talking about, some had lost children in the past and getting over the grief of that. And just, we created a safe space for them to talk, for them to express, but for them to now see, I know I've been through a lot, but now I'm understanding how it's been propelling me to be the woman that I've been called to be.
Women naturally know how to push past pain. The birthing process alone, allows her to be able to has the capacity to be able to do so. And the next question for me then would be, okay, having had the tearful experience, having shared our inners with everyone else and confronted our faults, now we have to make the next step forward. What's next, having had that weekend of experience?
Absolutely. So one thing I want to just address what you said. Women do have the ability to push past pain, but most people stay stuck in the pain. So understanding that there is more after the pain is what we wanted them to understand this weekend, right? What are the steps? What is moving forward? So one of the things I encouraged them to do was, in that room, get an accountability partner. Get someone that understands what it feels like to go on the journey. Go ahead from this day forward to put some clear, actionable steps in place, but also get into an environment that celebrates purpose. Get into an environment that celebrates the uniqueness of who you are. So we have actually a program that we launched through this conference to give women a safe space, but also a continuation of understanding, because as you know, we couldn't talk about everything in a weekend, right? We're having testimonies and vision boards. So there was only so much what we can do, but we have, through the Becoming Her brand and I Am Her, we have a full program to help women unlock their purpose that they can find out more by visiting our website that we had for the conference. So we're not going to leave them hanging. We understand that, like we talked about the last time we were together, what do you do with this baby when it's crying at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Exactly.
Right? So we're making sure that they have the stuff moving forward.
But that's wonderful to know that the products for nurturing still exist through the website, through the association with other people, because when the baby is born, it has to be fed. And it has to be fed every minute, almost of every day, until it's strong enough to be able to have the lungs to really roar into the world. And so the I Am Her conference is now finished for those 2 days. So the website you said that people can go to, the ladies can go to continue to nourish themselves is?
IamHerConference.com. We're still using that because that's the website everyone knows right now before we launch them into our next site. There is an opportunity at the bottom of that website to sign up for all of our upcoming information, upcoming events and information. So please go to that website. We have something that's actually launching this month. So the women that were in the room there, and I have to say, there were women, corporate women, there were professional women that were in that room that said, you know what, we have to stay connected. So we created something just for that. So at the very end of that website, you'll be able to see how you can sign up, and we'll go ahead and get you on our mailing list.
All right, so ladies, you go to the website IamHerConference.com, sign up, go to the bottom, sign up, and you can stay up to date. But you know, Dr. Sherry, you do this to help others, and I know that's all part of the process of birthing as well. But what keeps you sustained in all of this?
Yeah, you know what? I had those tearful moments in the room as well, Pearson. Yeah, I'm birthing purpose in another country. You know, so people say, okay, well, you've been doing this since 2016, but each experience is different. Each connection is different. Each woman's story is different. So that's what keeps me going. I have a acronym that I use with my Power Moms, and it's persevere, overcome, win, empower, and restore. I believe I'm on the R of that. I'm restoring other women. I'm restoring people back to the place of who they've been called to be. And that is what keeps me going. Because, you know, planning an event, working with women can be tiring sometimes. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. But when I think about the why, when I remember the stories, I keep a win list at home where I look at my wins and the testimonies, and that's what keeps me going.
Well, you're winning, and you're winning beautifully indeed, Dr. Sherry Walton. Congratulations on the successfully held I Am Her conference. And I want to encourage more women to go to the website IamHerConference.com and scroll to the bottom, see how you can continue the journey and continue the support, not just from Dr. Sherry, but from others who would have been at the conference as well, because it can't stop here. The purpose has now been birthed in you, and it's your responsibility to nurture that purpose until the very end of your time. And so we want to encourage you to continue doing so as well as you're already doing. And Dr. Walton, we can't wait to see you again, so we continue to have this experience with you as well. Continue nurturing the way you have been nurturing the many, many people with whom you're engaged, and much success on your journey going forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome indeed. Dr. Sherry Walton from the I Am Her conference, which was held on the weekend, last weekend, they had a response that was fantastic. And the ladies, based upon their experience, as explained to you just now, they too had a wonderful experience. So continue, ladies, on the journey, IamHerConference.com, and see what else is in store for you. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, we'll tell you what's more in store for you this morning on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We are 12 minutes now to go to 7 o'clock as we turn our attention to the ongoing support given by the Barbados Trust Loan Limited. And joining us this morning is Kirk Dottin, who is the Business Development Manager with the Barbados Trust Loan Limited, and two entrepreneurs. One is Lizette King-Haynes, who is the owner of Bliss Enterprises. With her is Peter Wayne Seeley, the owner of True Water. We get to hear their journeys as well. But Kirk, I want to start with you. Good morning, everybody, by the way. And Kirk, talk to me a little bit about the recently held Business Expo and Fair in Hoyts Village. How was it?
Hi, good morning, person. Good morning, everyone. The fair was, we consider a success. And whereas we would have given the opportunity to entrepreneurs to really to come out and to showcase. And we had the participation of Corporate Barbados as well as those support agencies from within the ministry. And one of the initiatives that we would have spearheaded would have been the registration of 50 persons at half price. And I can see it as early as 10 in the morning because we started at 10. Yes. There were persons there lined up for this process. Nice. And we actually registered, we fell short of the 50, we actually registered 48 persons.
Short, but you made your target. Well done, Kirk. Well done to you and your team, indeed. Lizette, talk to me a little bit now about this business Bliss that you have. What is it about?
Well, I cater for feed, farm, and garden supplies. Mm-hmm. And basically, we cover everything when it comes to animals. So every animal we cater to.
What is it that got you turned on to providing that service?
Well, it started from a very young age. My dad was into dealing with animals and managing hatcheries. So I grew up into this business basically.
Mm-hmm. But you decided, you know what, it was my father's idea, he started it, you grew up in it, but now you are doing it. And you needed the assistance of the Barbados Trust Fund. What was it that propelled you to say, you know what, I'm going to check in with them to see how they can help me further my endeavor? What was it?
Well, it was actually a very close friend of mine who actually told me about the program. And I decided to apply, and here I am 3 years later and still holding my own in this market.
So
I'm very happy with it.
I am very happy for you too. From that experience with the Barbados Trust Loans, what have you learned?
It is, since the pandemic, it has been very hard, and we are still in the process of trying to make sure that we are catering to all of our customers. Because the thing about it is difficult sometimes for them to come and just buy what they need exactly. But we've been able to cover that, you know, and just make sure they have all the necessary supplies that they need.
And all of that you would have learned too from the Barbados Trust, that experience from the support given.
Yes, most definitely.
Peter, what about you? You operate a business known as True Water. First of all, what's True Water, and is water true?
Our water is true with a TRU. Our water is sourced local. Our water is sourced. It's a local product. It's a local product. It's sourced here from artesian wells deep under our beautiful island, and our water is purified, bottled for our customers' drinking pleasure. On our labels, we have 6 different images of our labels. I'll make it quick, and all 6 different images represent some aspect of our beautiful island Barbados. So our product not only gives people a nourishing or a proper drinking water and a clean product as well, I must emphasize, because a lot of the water that we get here from wherever is not necessarily clean. And our product is clean, clear, and it has no taste, because water should be odorless, tasteless, and colorless. So it is a true product, TRU.
True product indeed. You know, we drink water for pleasure, we just want to cool things down just a little bit. But what's the benefit to drinking water, the true water, your purified water?
Well, the benefits to drinking our water, as a matter of fact, I wouldn't say specifically ours, but water, the body is at least 70% water. So you need water water acts as like, is very important in your body for filtration, for getting rid of waste materials through perspiration, urine, everything else that entails. So we give people a quality product that works well with the body. Now, our product is 7.4 on the plus or minus on the pH scale. There's a lot of talk about alkaline water. Now, anybody that knows anything knows that the grade 7, that's neutral. Below 7 is acidic. Above 7 is alkaline. Now, the human body works better as neutral as possible. So the necessity to have a massive alkalinity on the product is not necessary. We have 7.4 pH, which is almost exactly what the body works with, and you get the more benefits from an almost neutral product, such as true purified water.
I'm glad you went into describing all of that, because oftentimes people think, what's so special about, how do you make a business out of water, where you could just turn on the pipe and drink your water? But here it is, you've looked at the science of it, and you've been able now to move that science into being able to provide people in a very, very fast and convenient way the consumption of that kind of water. Your decision to turn to the Barbados Trust Loan, though, what was it that led you to them, and what has been the support so far?
Well, the idea of producing water, it just came, believe it or not. The idea came to me. I talked to some other people. I've had a lot of help. Then I approached the Barbados Trust funds. They were only too willing to help. But what I must say is that they have given me a different approach and a different insight into business. Because you think that you can open a business and just run it. But we've had training, we get training, things like financial literacy, because you might think that to spend $10 out of the money is not going to make a difference, but it will, because it's a knock-on effect. And not only as far as running your business is concerned, but I've also found that I've developed as a person, being able to deal with people better, being more tolerant of people. And some of the questions that people ask concerning your water, it can be very challenging. So I enjoy it, to be honest with you. And due to the fact that I enjoy it, to me, it's easy. It's easy. I love it. Honestly, I love it. And I must thank Barbados Trust very, very much. They've given me opportunities to present myself, like at Hoyts Village last weekend, or weekend before that. That was great. Just being out there, getting my product seen by people, I'm enjoying it to the max.
That's fantastic. Kirk, you couldn't hear a better endorsement, really, of the support given by the Barbados Trust Loan Limited. Talk to us just briefly about when people come to you, what you require of them, and what can be expected once you agree that you will assist. Kirk, did you mute yourself? Kirk, did you mute yourself? Kurt, did you mute yourself? So we'll try to get Kurt's voice coming through to us in just a moment. So let's see. Can you hear me now, Kirk? I cannot hear you, however. All right, we're going to have our technical crew to try to work that out with you in just a moment. But of course, Kirk is with the Barbados Trust Loans. And so, Lisette, let's talk a little bit back to you for just a moment, Kirk. Lisette, talk to me about how people can find you and how can they get themselves on their hands really on the Bliss Enterprises products.
Well, we are on Google Maps, so they can just Google us, or they can get us on Facebook, Instagram, or they can contact us at 537-0089 or 282-2728.
282-2728.
Yes, or our email address, alblissenterprises@gmail.com.
So here it is, we're seeing some of the feeds that you provide. You provide feeds for animals, you provide the aerosol sprays, you provide a whole host of things for people who are into this kind of business.
Definitely. So it's all like warmers, feeds, antibiotics, vitamins, salt lick blocks, you name it. We cater for the animals. We also carry hose menders and what's not for gardeners, with fertilizers. We carry a range of products.
You know, you could have
And there are
sat
going
back.
to be a few more.
Or there's some new ones coming soon. You could have sat back and said, that's Daddy's business. You know, I don't know how vast this market is for what we do. Did you do some market research, and what did that reveal to you?
Well, we have quite a few young entrepreneurs when it comes to agriculture. And I'm finding that there's an increase of young persons who are mainly into animals, whether it is sheep, pigs, goats, you name it. There are a lot of young persons into that field now. And for me, it's pleasing to see that, because in my situation, because I grew up in this business and I've seen the benefits of it, it is so pleasing to see young people wanting to do it.
Yes,
and have a passion for it.
That's fantastic. Peter, what about you? Because, I mean, water is water, as I've said before, but there are other brands of water on the market. And so you have to penetrate this vast space as well. So how has it been for you in terms of finding your space that says True Water is the preferred choice?
Well, to be honest with you, and this might sound funny to some people, but it is the truth. I am not worried about the other products and the other water that's out there. I am confident that I have a product that will satisfy my consumers, and that my product being a Bayesian product, I would like to think that we, over time, will be able to get the benefits of local support. Because again, I'll take the chance here to put in that a lot of the water that we get here is not clean. It is not clean. So we have a product that will stand the test of time. Any tests, any measures that you want to put my product through, feel free. I am sure and confident that my product, True Purified Water, will stand the test of time. And as I said, I'm not in competition with anybody. The only body I'm in competition with is myself. To do better every day, to sell more water every day, and to provide a product that consumers love, enjoy, and are willing to support.
So if anyone is watching today, they want the provision of that product that consumers love and are willing to enjoy, how can they contact you?
Okay, they can contact me by phone on 827-4286 or 253-4286. On Instagram, it's True Purified, and that's TRU. On Facebook, it's also True Purified. And on email, it's truepurifiedwater@gmail.com.
There you go. You can't go wrong, folks, indeed. Thanks to both of you entrepreneurs, and thanks to Kirk. We couldn't get him back in for just a moment, but thank you, Peter Wayne Seeley and Lizette King-Hayes.
Thank you.
Both two entrepreneurs who are excellent entrepreneurs, and they've turned to the Barbados Trust Loans Limited, and they can speak passionately about the benefit from that relationship. Perhaps that can be your journey as well when you contact the Barbados Trust Loans. Thank you both, and much success in your endeavors.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. We shall take that break here right now, and when Morning Barbados comes back, we'll have the news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Another look at the news now. Once again, here's Shane Seeley.
Thank you, Pearson. Here's your headline news for this Tuesday, July the 5th. A survey has been launched to determine how the health of the Barbadian population is being impacted by indiscriminate burning. Dubbed How Do Wildfires Affect Your Health?, the Center for Biosecurity Studies at the UWI Cave Hill is trying to get a better understanding of how health impacts of climate and wildfires, for example, sugarcane, grass and rubbish fire, affect your health. Director of the center, Dr. Kurt Douglas, has been gathering data from the Barbados Fire Service, the Sanitation Service Authority, and the Barbados Met Office. He says it is clear to see from the statistics that indiscriminate burning is a big problem.
We are looking at the impact on health because as fires burn, they release particulate matter, black carbon, depending on what is burning. If it's just vegetation, it would be CO2 and any particles of carbon from the burning biomass. But if it is rubbish, then there are a whole host of different substances that would then be released in the air. So we want to find out from Barbadians how they feel about wildfires, what impact it is having on their health, and then we then want to take that and continue the discussion even after we finish the survey. We want to hold a stakeholder engagement series of meetings, webinars, could also be town halls.
And Dr. Douglas told the Morning Report, indiscriminate burning also speaks to concerns about solid waste management here in Barbados, another problem which needs urgent attention.
People burn garbage oftentimes out of convenience because they think that it is easier and more convenient for them to, be rid of the rubbish by burning it rather than waiting until, what the cycle of garbage collection or solid waste collection comes around to their area. So it is going to be something that we have to tease apart and find out the different factors that are involved. So we will also like to conduct a solid waste KAP study and survey in Barbados as well to assist with that. Because you have many interrelated factors that go into solid waste management, the burning of garbage, social, economic factors as well.
Barbadians have been reacting to the latest fuel price increases. The price of gasoline in Barbados has jumped by 31 cents to $4.72 per litre, while diesel has increased by 4 cents to $2.66 per litre. News of the dramatic price hike has left many Barbadians reevaluating their commute and driving practices to save an extra dollar.
In my opinion, jolly right ain't done. You got to move around these days, you got to plan it out. If you don't plan it out, I don't know where you can go with this fuel.
So far, this vehicle is being filled and is literally taking $250. I hope that the powers to be can do some changes to this as soon as possible.
I am going to plan my route better. I'm going to drive with my husband on the weekend so he can buy the gas. And 3, what am I going to do? I'm going to get my sister-in-law to pick me up and take me everywhere I want to go.
I tend to drive everywhere with the air conditioner on, but I think with the prices as they are, I'm going to have to really reduce my use of air conditioning.
For my family, yeah, if we can, we try to use one car.
And finally, 89 new COVID-19 cases. That was what was recorded here in Barbados on Sunday by the Best Dos Santos Public Health Laboratory, as they did some 352 tests. The new positives comprised 13 people who are under the age of 18 and 76 individuals who are 18 years and older. There were 130 people in isolation facilities, while 1,352 people were in home isolation. That's your headline news for this Tuesday, July the 5th. I'm Shane Seeley. It's back over to you, Pearson.
Shane, thank you. When we come back, chances for you to win with us here on Morning Barbados in just a moment. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So we're 10 minutes now after 7 o'clock this Tuesday morning. Time for the N Pure Water Filtration question of the day. A chance for you to give me a call. Once I ask the question, call me on 228-5562 or 228-5563. Just to remind you that, as we told you yesterday, when you wake up in the morning, your first thing should be a large glass of water. I can hear you cringe. I can hear you. But it's good for you. Why? Because it helps to flush those toxins out of your body which would have accumulated overnight while you slept. So, first thing, large glass of water, and then you can have whatever other beverage that you would want to have thereafter. Your tea, your coffee, whatever your breakfast items are. But why do we also need to have water? Because of water regulates the body temperature. You would have just heard it with our other guests as well. The value of drinking your water. Our body is over 70% water. And so we need to be able to have adequate supplies of water. Water is good for you. It is great for you, as a matter of fact. N Pure Water Filtration, the question of today. So get ready to give us a call, 228-5562 or 228-5563. The question is right there on your screen. Oh dear. What is the name of the water sold by N Pure Water Filtration? Can we take that down before they see the answer? 228-5562 or 228-5563. My question to you is, what is the name of the water sold by N Pure Filtration Inc.? 228-5562 or 63. Answer it correctly and let's see what we do. Good morning. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. What's your first name?
Lee.
Lee?
Yes, please.
Just Lee is your first name? L-E-E?
No, L-E-I-G-H.
Oh, Lee, L-E-I-G-H. Lee, that new fashion way to spell Lee. Okay. And Lee, did you wake up this morning and have your glass of water?
Yes, please.
First thing?
Yes, first thing in the morning.
Is that something you do all the time?
Yes, every morning.
As soon as you wake up, you go straight to water?
Yes, please.
And does it taste good, first glass of water?
Yes, it's like a cleanse.
I understand what it is about, but this is something you've always done all your life?
As I got older.
Uh-huh. So would you say for the majority of your life, that's what you've been doing?
Yes.
Or only a relatively recent time?
No, most of the time.
Most of your time, that's what you've done. So what benefits have you found when you haven't consumed a glass of water first thing in the morning? What do you find?
I think having meals afterwards, they digest well. It keeps you cool.
So you find you have better, easier digestion having had your glass of water first?
Yes.
And therefore, I'm assuming that before you started using water first, you had difficulties with digestion. Is that a fair?
It might be. I'm not sure if it's a main thing or if it's just after you get older, you learn to be healthy, so you change your stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so this was your personal decision or this was a medical decision for you?
Personal.
Good. Do you know that water helps to regulate your body temperature?
Yes, I heard you say that yesterday.
It's only because I said it? It's only because I said it that you believed it?
I guess
Answer
you know
yes
what
or
you're
no.
talking.
Okay, fair enough. Do you know that Jesus is coming again?
That's what they said.
No, no. Oh, so because I said it now, you don't want to believe it.
No, I believe it. I've heard it all my life.
Fair enough, fair enough. Since you're going to believe one thing, you have to believe everything or you believe nothing at all. All right, so what's your answer for me? What's the name of the water sold by NPR Filtration Inc.?
Is it Belgium pure water?
Don't ask me questions. I asked you a
Belgium
question.
pure water?
Are you sure?
Yes.
What makes you so certain?
I watch Mornin Barbados.
That's a good girl. Thank you for that. And because you're such a good girl, we're going to say to you, you're absolutely right. It's right there on your screen, look. Belgium pure, purified water. That's what I was asking you to pick up my hint when you said, folks, take that down there, but you know, they see the answer. But you're absolutely right. It's Belgium pure. Have you tried it?
Not as yet.
So will you try it tomorrow or today?
Yes, when I collect them, I will.
Oh, so you're waiting for us to give it to you. It's available island-wide, all right?
Okay.
Thank you so much for talking to me today, Lee. Lee is absolutely right. Belgian Pure Purified Water is distributed by NPR Water Filtration Inc. And we want to thank them again for coming on board with us here on Morning Barbados. Remember, first thing in the morning, your glass of water, it helps to flush those toxins that would have gathered in your body while you slept, and it helps to regulate your temperature. Whatever age, whatever stage you are, then try it today. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, we're into the birthing season, and we'll be talking to Dr. Gillian Birchwood about what expectant mothers can expect. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So here we are, 17 and a half minutes now after 7 o'clock, as we turn our attention to our pediatric care with our favorite pediatrician, Dr. Gillian Birchwood. Dr. Birchwood, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning,
see you again.
Pearson, and good morning to all of Barbados.
You know, I was trying to do the math. We're in the busy baby birthing season. I'm doing the math going back 9 months from now to see what was a happy moment that started the inception.
Naughty.
Natural to know. But nonetheless, here we are in the busy baby birthing season. And oddly enough, it coincides with hurricane season as well, but that's all right. So let's talk about what expectant mothers can expect. Once you got the news, it's confirmed that you are indeed pregnant and baby is due.
Yes, we are just on the cusp of that busy time of the year. Anybody who deals with pregnant mothers or with babies knows that this is really the beginning of that season where we're going to be very busy in the second half of the year. So I think it's very important to demystify the process for moms. For especially first-time moms, it can be nerve-wracking trying to know what the process is going to be like and wondering how they're going to cope with it. So this is why I think it's important to talk about it so they can be prepared and not be, excessively worried about what is really essentially a natural process.
Mm-hmm. And because it's natural, you should just simply relax. It's just the next stage of the whole birthing process. So what are some of the things that she needs to be able to get ready so that that process is less painful, one, and that she is more prepared?
Well, I think that I will definitely be talking more about the baby side, because in terms of the mother's part, that would definitely fall under the midwife or the obstetrician. So it's important for moms to be prepared, and they're usually told to set up clothes and supplies for babies a few weeks before baby's born. You don't want to wait until the very last moment and be running around trying to find important supplies. So the first thing that new moms should know is what types of clothes they should pack in the bag for baby. And definitely they're going to want to pack a variety of things, because when babies are born, remember their room temperature before birth, I call it their room temperature, would have been about 37 degrees Celsius with their mom. But after they're born, they're born naked, they're born wet, and the room temperature is often around 25 degrees Celsius. So that's a big difference. And so babies can get cold very easily. And especially the smaller they are or the more premature they are, they're much more likely to become cold. So they should pack short onesies or vests and long onesies with socks and hats and a variety of blankets that can be used for swaddling, because that really helps a baby to feel very protected. If you think about it, they're in very tight confines before they're born, which provides them with a security. And so after they're born, they often do like being swaddled. And moms should also pack Pampers. She should not really worry so much about formula, because there's going to be a big focus on breastfeeding, which she'll be guided with. And then she should pack supplies like things to bathe baby with, a gentle soap, gentle moisturizer, diaper rash cream. And she should also pack some surgical alcohol to help take care of the baby's cord. So these are just a few of the things that would be important. And she should plan and prepare for breastfeeding. So she would need supplies to help her with breastfeeding, like a nipple cream, because there can be soreness in the beginning, which a lot of women don't realize.
Ooh. So all of those things that she puts in her bag, she must also have a supply at home, because baby's going to come home as well. So duplicate it, so to speak, and quantify it, because you really have to make sure you have adequate supplies. There's going to be a constant need for changing, so there's a budgeting that has to take place, so but plan it very carefully. What happens right after the baby is born, though? The baby is born, you said to me right away, you come out of the oven, 37 degrees seems hot. And, you come into real life here at 25 degrees. So what happens right after that baby is born? It's shocked into reality.
Yes, so we fast forward through labor and then we get to when the baby is born. So right after a baby is born, a lot of times moms worry and they think a baby is going to cry immediately after they're born. That doesn't always happen. And so sometimes when a parent, sometimes when a parent doesn't hear the baby cry immediately, they start to worry. But the baby comes out, they start looking around, you see them moving around and flexing, and they may start breathing, but it doesn't always mean they're going to cry initially. So some babies are quieter than others, so don't worry immediately if a baby doesn't start to cry. Sometimes they just need a little bit of stimulation. In other cases, they may need more, but there's always a team on standby in case the baby needs more. The second aspect of it is that, the priority is going to be starting to establish bonding with mom as soon as possible. So if a mom has had a regular vaginal delivery, that baby is going to be placed skin to skin with mom, and mom's body is amazing. She is going to adjust her body temperature automatically without even realizing it to warm that baby up. So mom acts like an incubator. So if the baby's cold, mom's body heats up to keep the body warm. The baby feels hot, mom's body cools down so that baby's body temperature is just right. So she's going to be skin to skin with that baby. And during that time, they won't need any clothes between them. The second part is that baby's going to remain connected to the placenta or the afterbirth for a minute or two after the baby is born. And this is called delayed cord clamping. So baby gets a mini blood transfusion that is going to be beneficial to baby in the first few months of life. So after there's been bonding and after there's been the delayed cord clamping, then the cord is cut. And a lot of times nowadays, dads may want to cut the cord. Some say absolutely not. And so, I understand.
Yes.
And then after the cord is cut, baby remains with mom and dad. And weighing and measuring and examining is really not an immediate priority. They will be assessing baby right after, making sure that baby's making that transition well. That's what to expect right after.
Well, just out of curiosity, in the cord cutting, is there pain for mummy or baby at that point? Any pain at all? I'm just thinking vessel cut, skin cut.
Well, luckily God is gracious. So no, there are no nerves in that cord, and so there's no sensation. So I tell parents the cord has about as much sensation as your hair. And if you snip your hair with a scissors, you're not going to say ouch. And it's the same thing with the cord. Yes, so there's nothing to worry about there.
Whew, that feels better now to know, indeed. But you know, there are batteries of tests that we often see happen, you know, once the baby's born, you know, that the doctors and the nurses go off to do this and to do that. What are those tests? Yes. What are you checking for?
Yes. So immediately after birth, at 1 minute and at 5 minutes, then baby undergoes an assessment that is called APGAR scoring. And that looks at what is the condition of the baby right after birth. It gives us an idea. So if a baby is born here in Barbados and I'm speaking to a doctor in Australia and I say the APGAR score is 9 and 9, that doctor knows, okay, this baby was in good condition. So it lets you know in an objective manner how well baby has coped with the whole transition from being in the womb to out of the womb. And in addition to that, before baby goes home, baby is going to have a hearing test done. It's routinely done here in Barbados that babies should have a hearing test done before they go home. There's also going to be a special test to see if there's any evidence of jaundice. It's a painless test. Jaundice is very common in newborn babies, and at low levels, it's nothing to worry about, but at higher levels, it may require treatment. So all babies automatically get a jaundice check before they go home. And then finally, they also get a check to see if there's any evidence of a heart disease that they may have been born with that may not show up until later. So they have a test done to see how well the oxygen is going around their body. And these are some of the routine things that are done with babies before they go home to make sure that they are in good health.
But what if something is discovered? You know, that's the last thing a parent wants to hear, that you've found there's an abnormality in any area of those tests. What happens then?
Yes, you know, it's always very frightening for a parent or for a family to hear, you know, this test result is not what it should be. And then, you know, they're going to wonder what's going to happen next. What does this mean for baby? But, you know, most things are treatable. And this is the point of doing some of those tests so that you can catch things at an early stage. You can institute treatment, and then you can kind of jump ahead and prevent it from getting to be very severely complicated or dangerous for baby. So if you pick up early signs of jaundice, you can start treatment where needed quickly and avoid some of the complications you can have. If you pick up signs of heart disease early, you can institute life-saving treatment before the baby reaches a stage where they are critically ill. So it's frightening to hear that things are not normal, but the point of looking is so that we can do something about it early and prevent the baby from becoming severely ill.
And that's really good to hear. You know, from my experience with Michael, you know, knowing early meant we could have intervened much earlier, and he's a good, happy little boy as we speak. So are there other conditions, though, that would affect the expectancy of this baby as a consequence of the mother being pregnant, though?
Yes, there are some conditions in pregnancy that can affect the baby. One very simple one is if the mom is O positive, or if her blood type is negative, like A negative or B negative or O negative. And if baby inherits a different blood type, inherits dad's blood type, then that can actually increase the risk for baby developing jaundice because of a reaction between the different blood types. So that's something that's very simple and common that we look out for. But in addition to that, if a mom has high blood pressure or preeclampsia, which are two common conditions in Barbados during the pregnancy, it can certainly affect the growth of the baby. It can increase the risk that the baby is born more prematurely. And it can also affect the baby after birth because they may need more help. There's a higher chance that they will need to be admitted to the newborn intensive care unit for observation. Diabetes in pregnancy is another unfortunately common condition here in mothers in Barbados. And if a mom has diabetes, her baby will definitely require monitoring for at least 12 to 24 hours because a baby's blood sugar is more likely to go low, and there can be other complications associated with diabetes in the pregnancy. So these are two very common conditions that we will need to look out for these babies more carefully in the first day or so after they are born.
You know, I feel as if I know so much more now, and I'm not expecting any. So you can imagine the mothers watching today, the expectant mothers, they must feel, woof, now I know. And because you know now, ladies, you know, you need to pay greater attention, so get the bag ready. All of those things Dr. Birchwood would have shared with you, have them ready for the bag and at home as well, because baby will be coming home. Rest assured that the medical team will step in and do whatever they can to have a safe delivery and make sure that your baby is safe as well. So just relax. In other words, the team's got your back, mommy. So that's a good thing to hear.
Yes, we do.
Dr. Birchwood, thank you as always for joining us this morning and to share with us some really great information. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
You're very welcome. You do too. Dr. Gillian Birchwood, our pediatrician, with us this morning here on Morning Barbados. Now we know, as expectant mothers and fathers, what we need to get ready for the delivery of the baby and the life thereafter. We'll take a break here right here. When we come back, you need to know how to build a hurricane-resistant home. And Agent Sharita will share with us on that in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
"28 minutes now to go to the hour of 8 o'clock, and by nature would have it, we have Agent Sharita. Whoosh, here she is. I work my magic. See? She appears indeed when we call. And that's what you do. You appear when called on as a real estate agent, one of the very best on the island. You can call her on 233-8888, 233-8888. And as nature would have it, we live on an island in the Atlantic Ocean. We live in a tropical paradise as well. And the Atlantic breezes will come across our way, and they bring with them hurricanes and other storms. But we have to make sure that the place where we live is ready for that kind of impact. So what are some of the things as a real estate agent you can advise us on when we're deciding to build our home about how we can make them hurricane resistant?
Well, one thing I'll start by saying is that nothing is hurricane proof. Nature does its thing.
Yes.
I had the misfortune, so to speak, to live through a Hurricane Georges, when I was studying in Puerto Rico. And let me tell you something, Pearson, It was only category 2. And
Wow.
that was a traumatic, shocking experience. You had louver windows closed tightly and you were seeing water coming through it as if people were outside throwing mop buckets of water
Yes.
through the windows as if they weren't closed. We were huddled in a corridor in the school, the international students, and we were watching the water coming in and rising on the floor.
Wow.
So, it's a serious thing. And luckily, we've been spared quite often. But the challenge with that, we get a little complacent. So let me tell you, when you're building, the things to keep in mind. Of course, you want to make sure that house is strapped down as best as it could be from top to bottom. And the roof is a critical component of trying to keep those high winds out of the house. So when you hear emphasis placed on hurricane straps and so forth, I mean, they're vital in trying to pin that roof down. But be reminded that the truss of the trusses of the roof and everything have to be strapped to the frame as best possible. So those types of things you have to make happen from the get-go with that roof.
In other words, there's no cutting of any corner when it comes to making your home hurricane resistant. The strapping, when you're doing your budgeting, make sure it's a part of it and not a way to cut the corner or to cut the cost. So that's absolutely critical. You talked a lot about wind. So the wind can lift that roof, but it can also shatter glasses and so forth. So direction, the placement of the house, location, all of those things, are there also equal consideration?
Yes, of course. And keep in mind, things that we could do to mitigate damage would be trying to get either impact windows and doors, also shutters, whether they're roller shutters or you have your handcrafted wooden shutters that you go and board up the whole house to try to minimize the wind coming in. I have seen a house that was built directly on the East Coast, and they built it with hurricanes in mind. They actually built it in a round sort of design so that the wind will always keep pushing past it, so to speak. And what they also did was ensure that they had a safe room or a safe, there was kind of like a internal structure that if ever there was a hurricane, you could enter that. It comprised the staircase and so forth, but if needed to be, you could make it your safe area and shut off all else in case damage started to happen. So wind is a factor that you have to be thinking of. Remember, the wind, the higher up the category, the stronger the wind, and all you could do is try to make it either funnel past that house or not let the pressure build up inside the house, which is where the roofs popping off and so forth all originate.
I'm glad you mentioned, though, about the inner parts of the house, because often we build a box and then we fill in the box with our different things, whether it's appliances or furniture. And you're quite right. In thinking of how you design your new home, you have to give consideration to, in making it hurricane resistant, to having that other strong room within the house, whether it is the bathroom or another bedroom or cupboard of some sort. I don't know how many people actually give thought to that.
And it is essential. I have seen some houses where they would, if, for example, one bedroom or bathroom was furthest away from, the main windows and the main exposures of the house, what they did was reinforce that with 8-inch concrete blocks and some serious concrete pouring, so that if anything happened, that could become a bunker of sorts. So these are things that you have to keep in mind, because remember, we have no idea how hurricanes are going to come at us. Remember, based on how the climate has changed, storms and hurricanes are getting stronger and stronger. So even though you hurricane-proof your house, you still have to think worst-case scenario, that what happens if these man-made materials don't hold up? I need somewhere where I can run to at least feel a lot safer.
You use the word bunker, and oftentimes we see it a lot on American TV. When there's a tornado, they hunkered down into the bunker, they went beneath the surface. Are more and more, or is it recommended that more and more we give consideration to digging deeper and creating a safe space, almost like a safe place when we have to retreat in the event of a hurricane or any other disaster? I
think that should be a thought, but even with that, you have to take into to consideration some serious design and engineering. Reason being, I have known persons who rented sub-level apartments, for example, and it was disastrous. Water came in from all angles, even through the concrete itself.
Wow.
So, you know, even though it sounds like a good idea, you can't just say, okay, we got space in the backyard, let me dig a hole and reinforce it. You need to ensure, remember that these winds often come with rain.
Yes.
And there's often flooding in some areas as a result. So you have to keep that in mind. And touching on the flooding, you also have to make sure when you build your house, elevate it. If you notice, a lot of bungalows are not dead flat on the ground. They do that ground fill and push themselves a little bit up in the air. Even if you're by coastal areas,
yes,
think of perhaps using stilts or columns to elevate yourself a little bit, and that would help keep off any flood waters should they arise.
So much that we have learned from you this morning, Agent Sherita, indeed, as it relates to building a hurricane-resistant home. Folks, there's a lot more you can learn too. You can simply give her a call and you can find out a whole lot more. Now, rising water, wind are some of the problems that we face when living as a consequence of where we live. But location again, living on the coast, we talked about that, but we have the effects of sea and climate change and changes in the surf. What kinds of advice can you give to that too?
Well, it all ties into positioning, foundation. Be reminded that erosion is a serious thing. We have seen some hurricanes and storms come through and change entire beaches and the landscape as we know it.
Yes.
So you have to be mindful of your foundation, especially if you're on the coastline. Have you gone down deep enough? You know, are you using columns and so forth to make sure that you have the load taken care of at all angles? If a corner of the house was to be ripped loose because of a rogue wave, can the rest of the house stand up, or will it automatically crumble like a pack of cards? So I would say that, especially when you're by the coast, don't just put up any structure and be happy with that tropical living, but really get engineering, structural engineers and so forth involved in the design, because remember, so much more than hurricanes can happen nowadays. We just have to be prepared for life in all forms and fashions. So you want to make sure that you put down the strongest structure possible that can handle the elements.
And so in handling the elements, we need to pay close attention to everything we do, from the inside to the outside, to location, to the strapping of our properties, our roofs, and so forth. Everything has to be taken consideration too. Now, there are people who live in chattel houses, though, and you know, when you live in a chattel house, you can't throw stones. So let's talk about how they can secure their property now in the event of a hurricane.
Well, here's a joke, and I know you'll agree with me on this one. There have been some terrible storms and so forth that have passed, and I have seen some child houses there from the time I was a lass. and that's how you know that they were well designed, because a lot of those structures were put together like true jigsaw puzzle pieces, interlocking and and strapped down. And so perhaps we need to go back to some of those, the builders of some of those wooden structures that have been standing the longest, and ask, what extra did you do here? But a lot of what they did was that interlocking method to make sure that everything was held tightly together. And remember too, a lot of them have their shutter windows features so that you pull them in and help minimize that wind swirling around the house. Be reminded too that outside of, you know, trying to have the hurricane proof materials and so forth, you have to use good old common sense.
Yes.
So sometimes people have the best houses in the world, but still you have a whole bunch of debris and landscaping and so forth, not trimmed and that type of thing. So that when the bad weather comes, then the beautiful gutters that you engineered are now blocked with all the leaves from your garden.
Yes,
so remember, we have to go a step beyond just the structure and the materials.
Couldn't say it any better indeed. And you know, there's a whole lot more you can give consideration to, ladies and gentlemen, but Agent Sherita will be there to guide you. You can give her a call, 233-8888, and on social, Barbados Real Estate 246 is where you can find her. But the number to give her a call on is 233-8888. 8888. Again, great advice, Agent Shrita. Thank you for joining us. And I wish you stay safe really during the hurricane season, as we all wish for each other as well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Always great to have her sage advice with us here on Morning Barbados on a Tuesday morning. Agent Shrita, 233-8888 on social, Barbados Real Estate 246. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, a chance for you to unscramble some letters and a whole lot more. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
14 minutes now to go to 8 o'clock. Time for you to get ticking by calling me on 228-5562 or 228-5563. We have some scrambled letters, not eggs, scrambled letters for you to unscramble for me. So call me now on 228-5562 to unscramble the letters and tell me the word you think they will form once you have unscrambled them. And when you do, you know we have a little bit of a conversation, so don't rush the brush, and we will get through this happily together. I encourage you, for whatever age, to give me a call. I want to hear from as many of you as possible from across this island of ours. So 228-5562 or 228-5563. What's the first word we've scrambled today? Take a look at this and unscramble these letters and tell me what word you find. What's that word? What's that word? Now that has me totally confused myself. But what's that word? Do you know, you think you know what that word is? 228-5562 or 228-5563. What's the word based upon the letters that you see? What word do you think you can make using those letters? Lots of consonants, 2 vowels only 2 vowels. Use them wisely and tell me the word you think you can find when you unscramble these letters. So 228-5562 or 228-5563. Answer correctly, and let's see what you discover once you've unscrambled those letters. So look at your screen. Look. Good. What word do you think we can make from those letters? Let's see. Y'all frightened? Your head scrambled too now? Have you had your glass of water? Drink your water and it'll help you figure out what we're talking about here. Look at that. What word can we make from this? I did not promise you a rose garden. I didn't say it's going to be easy every day. It's good actually that we've got something we're stumping you on. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Challenge me if you think you can figure this word out. 228-5562 or 63. It's a very simple word. Good morning to you. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm doing well too. Thank you for asking. What parish are you watching us from?
St. Peter.
And what's your first name?
Edson.
Edson, it's good to meet you today. This is Pearson talking to Edson. Edson from St. Peter. Yeah, man, look at that. Look at how life turned out for us today.
Right.
Edson, you think your eyes can figure out these words here, this word?
Yes.
Let me hear what your eyes deceive you to tell you.
I am seeing land ship.
Edson again. So your eyes have truly been deceptive. You think that's what you see there, land ship?
Oh, yes.
You sound rather confident, Edson.
Oh, yes.
Did you write it out?
I know you try to throw people off, but I'm on to you.
I am not trying to throw you off, Edson. But Edson, you're absolutely right. I was hoping to throw you off a truth. You're so right. Well done, Edson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good
You're
one.
welcome. You're welcome. Edson is spot on. But he's from St. Peter. He's from the north of the island. What do you expect? 228-5562 or 228-5563. Let's give you another word and let's see if you can unscramble these letters. Look at this one. I bet you Edson, Pearson, whoever, you can't figure this one out. Look at those letters. Tell me the word you think they form. They're two words. Figure it out. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Good morning to you. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello?
Are you listening to your television?
Yeah.
Do not listen to your television, listen to your telephone. And that way that we can connect with each other very seamlessly. What's your first name?
Okay.
What's your first name?
Nazari.
Somebody.
Nazari.
Okay. Do not listen to your television. Did you hear me say that?
Yes, please.
Do not listen to your television then. Do as I ask you to do. So tell me, what words do you see right there on your screen?
I see published.
You see publish.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I'm seeing either. Thank you for trying. That's not right at all. Perhaps next time. But look at your screens, folks. There we have a set of jumbled letters, as the lady said, junk on your screen. Can you unscramble the junk and tell me what you see? 228-5562 or 63. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Pearson.
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful. What about you?
I'm well, thank you. You sound perky enough. What's your first name and where are you watching us from?
Simone, St. Philip.
Simone of St. Philip. All right, Simone from St. Philip, tell me these words.
Freedom Village.
Simone, again, tell me the words. Don't just tell me what you think. Tell me the words.
Freedom Village.
Simone,
Yes,
let go of
please.
that. Tell me what words you see. Seriously.
Freedom Village.
Simone, I see you're stubborn. Would people describe you as such?
Yes.
Well, I've spotted that already, and you're correct in being stubborn. It is indeed Freedom Village. Thank you so much, Simone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Simone from St. Philip, stubbornly getting it right. All right, folks, that's the fun for today. Tomorrow, if it be God's will, we have another set of words for you. We'll take a break right here, and when we come back, we'll meet that man who's the men's physique champion, and then we'll meet the other guy. We'll tell you who he is in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So here we are. We have now 7 minutes to go to the hour of 8 o'clock. They've got me to stand finally. And with me is Mr. Physique over there at the far end. And his name is Dwayne Best, by the way. And next to him is Fat Thorn.
Yeah, I'll take that today. Guys, I want you all to know that Pearson did not run here today.
No.
Pearson took the liberty of bringing the decks very, 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 very close to where we are. So he walked.
Yes.
About just shy of 5 meters. So we're a little, you're regressing a little bit, Pearson. You remember we were supposed to be going to running around the car park and then coming in here in the studio?
Yeah.
So, but you're shortening the distance.
Yeah.
You have an explanation for this?
Yes.
What's that?
I didn't want to. It's not a good enough explanation.
All right. That's fair. So today we're talking about Dwayne's process leading up to the championships, right? And I always talk about bodybuilding where people kind of get this misconceived idea about everybody gonna be completely huge and that kind of stuff. But I'll let Dwayne tell us a bit about his process. So Dwayne, what was the process like leading up to competition day?
Actually, it was Mornin Barbados. It was a bit not tough in a sense because before that I was doing something called bar fit. Shout out to George at Surfside. And I wanted to get into the category, but I was thinking I wasn't going to have enough time. There was a training partner of mine, Gabrielle. We started on this training block to try to build some mass onto my body because I was a little lean going into the bar fit games. So I wanted to get some muscle on because the last time I did the show was back in 2019. I was smaller, yes, and I realized that the guys I competed against were kind of bigger than me. So I wanted to be as big as they were, or just a little bigger, especially given that I don't eat meat. Right. So I wanted to pack on some size and, carry that through. So I did a little strength training block in the earlier part of the year, and that followed with like a hypertrophy block just to maintain and keep that consistency with the physique that I had. Yeah.
Oh, so no meat. That's all I heard. That's all right. You had to bulk up just a little bit, and it wasn't difficult, was it? I mean, you worked mostly on the upper while maintaining the core. I use their words. Core.
I work on everything, so to speak. But some of the movements that Thorn would show you last week in terms of deadlift and stuff, I usually stick to those mainly. A lot of compound lifts. I don't generally do a lot of work inside of the gym. A lot of persons that inside the gym probably could say that as well. But compound moves, as Thorn was said, or alluded to last week, it actually helps the body fully. So you kind of, while you're working everything, you're still working the core, you're still working the thing. And as my diet changes over the span of time that I was trying to get onto the show, like you would see the leanness and the physique and everything started to change because of the intensity that I was putting into the gym, along with what I was eating.
Correct. That ties into what you've always been saying.
Always. That's why I'm actually hoping to have one of the female competitors come next week to speak about that, because I keep saying these things are byproducts. When you get caught up with the superficial things that you see on Instagram, you get caught up about, I want a six-pack and that kind of stuff, and you decide you're going to do 1 million crunches. No. These things, weight loss is a byproduct of good programming. Abdominals are a byproduct of good programming, especially when it comes to females and they're scared of putting on muscle. You literally, in order for you to achieve that level of mass and density, your programming and your diet has to reflect that. So you have to train towards that. So for all my ladies, again, if you think that going to the gym and picking up a little dumbbell and doing 10 reps can make your arms get like mine or Dwayne's, no, it does not work like that. So my next question is, how long would you say it took you to put on the quality muscle for competition? Especially as a vegan. Yeah, because I know it's a little different. You don't have the meat and that kind of stuff to supplement. You got your fats and stuff kind of stuff from meat that can help build muscle. But obviously, as a vegan, I don't know what that process is like. So tell us.
I mean, it's really no different to any person else, because you want to make sure that your portion size and everything is pretty much the same. I think the biggest misconception with everybody that speaks to a vegan or speaks to somebody that doesn't eat meat is the fact that we don't get protein or there's a lack of protein. A sound diet consists of everything, right? Carbohydrates, proteins, fats, as you know, macros, right? Macros. So that's basically all it is, really. Unfortunately, I wasn't really sticking to weighing my stuff a lot because the days get a lot hectic. So I kind of go based on visual. That's not the best. That's not the best thing. But at the end of the day, like that is as the simplest form should consist of all those things, right? Proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. I think again the misconception is the ignorance lies around the fact of not knowing where to source protein from when it doesn't come from meat, right? So to answer your point, the foods were just that. A lot of my stuff was heavy with the carbohydrates because I wanted to pack on really quickly.
Exactly, you need that extra energy as well.
But the size was coming from 2019. So I was always building and trying to get bigger over the course of years. And I think the pandemic kind of helped that because I was really kind of honed in on trying to get bigger.
We heard that person from 2019.
Right.
I heard that.
Putting
It's going to
the
take me
work
quite a number of
When
years.
I stepped on the stage in 2019, I think my weight was around 165, 175. When I stepped on the stage last two weekends, it would have been 185.
Right.
But in the space of the time there, I actually got up to like around in 2020, 2021, I actually got up to around like 210 pounds or so.
Right.
Just so that I could chisel out the body to
to come down. So usually that's what I do. Usually your competition weight is not the normal weight that you carry around post competition.
Okay.
So you got guys coming in at I think when I competed in 2014, 15, I think outside the competition I would be maybe like 190. And then, or maybe 185, and then competition there would be like 173, 175.
I have to get into competition to
And,
come
and the weight is relative to the size of the person.
Correct, but that's that is very sport specific.
Yes.
So you are trying to shred as much leading into competition. You're trying to look as lean as possible on competition day. Is that sustainable for the rest of your life? No.
Right. What is a yes is that you can send an email to califit246@gmail.com, and of course, you know, you can get all the information and a whole lot more. But congratulations, Dwayne.
Thanks.
We got to leave it there. We are out of time, but I want to thank you all for joining us as always today. Thanks to my producer, Nadia Foster, our technical director, Anderson Nurse. Sound engineer has been Christopher Bleman. Roel Ford has assisted us as well. And Tamisha Green is at Master Control. I'm Pearson Bowen. For all of them saying thank you. And we're looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Take care and bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.